Hello everyone, I'm Harry and this is the third and final video that discusses the survey feature in Workshop Wizard. In this video, I'll show you how to create your own surveys. You will need to be able to use the Survey tab. To do that, you may need to go to the People tab and give yourself access to surveys. The Surveys tab lets you create, change, and delete surveys. On the left side, you'll find a list of the surveys you already have. Each entry in the list contains the name and version number of one survey. If you want to add a new survey, just click on the Add Survey button. Then give the survey a name and a version. In the examples I've shown you, I've used numbers for the version, but you can enter text if you wish. You should then identify this as either a single-use survey or a multiple-use survey. If you use multi-use, you should also indicate when the survey is taken: pre-workshop, post-workshop, or follow-up. So, now you've created a survey. But so far the survey doesn't have any questions. Let me show you how to add questions. First, of course, you go to the Questions tab. Here is a list of the questions. Now, since this is a brand new survey, the list is empty. So, I'll click on the Add Question button. The first field is the identifier for the question. This is used to list the questions in the proper order on the Participants tab. Now, without going into the details of the strange way the computers put things in order, let me just say that you will have more success if you make this a two-digit number. So, number them as 01, 02, and so on. Next is the text of the question. This should be the full text that appears on the paper version of the survey. After that is the short text. This text is used on the Participants tab, and to save space on the screen it should be very short. You'll only be able to enter up to 32 characters here, but that should be plenty to let the person know what data they're entering. Next is the most important item: the question type. As you can see, there are several types you can choose from, and since this is important, I'm going to describe each one. The first two types are multiple choice questions. One lets you pick only one of the choices, and the other lets you pick as many of the choices as you want. The next two let you enter numbers. The first one lets you enter any number, and the second lets you specify a range the number must be within, such as 1 to 10. Both of these allow only whole numbers, so decimals are not allowed. The last two let you enter text. The first is shorter but still allows up to 64 characters. The second allows up to 4,000 characters. Answers you enter for these questions will not appear on the demographic report, but they will appear if you export the survey. Depending upon which question type you choose, there may be one or two additional questions here. For example, if you choose a number that's within a range, it will ask you what the range is. Here's the best part. As you create your question, this area will show you what the question might look like on a survey. This helps you visualize the question as you enter it to be sure that it's right. So, you've seen how to create surveys and how to add questions. Both of those things are pretty straightforward. There's one topic left, and it has to do with multiple choice questions. When you have multiple choice questions, you need to be able to tell Workshop Wizard what the choices will be. To do that, you create choice lists, which you do with these last two tabs. I'll start with the Choice List tab, and I'll create a new choice list which I'll name Cartoon Characters. Now I need to add choices for that list, which I'll do with the Choices tab. As you can see, I've added 3 choices to my list. Let me show you each of the fields. First is the ident. This is used to indicate the order the choices will have on the list. Next is the text and short text. The text should match the text on the paper version of the survey. The short text is used on the Participant tab to save screen space. The short text needs to be pretty short. It can only be up to about 32 characters, and it's best if you keep it even shorter than that. Last is the numeric value. This is used to calculate the average value for a question. Now, in some cases, this won't be very helpful. Giving a numeric value to cartoon characters isn't particularly meaningful. But if this had been a list for a range option, such as likes a lot, likes somewhat, or doesn't like, the numeric value could be very useful. Be sure to make each of these 4 fields unique. You cannot have 2 choices that have the same ident, the same text, the same short text, or the same numeric value. Now that I've added my choice list, let me show you how it's used. I'll add a new question, and I'll make the type choose one item from a list. It will ask for my choice list, and I'll choose cartoon characters. You can see here what the question looks like. So, entering a survey is pretty simple. You create the survey, add questions to it, and, if necessary, create one or more choice lists for your multiple choice questions. That's all there is to it. There's one important thing I should mention, though. Be sure you enter all the questions correctly. I would suggest that you enter a test participant to make sure all the questions are right. If they aren't, you can always delete the participant, modify the survey, and then try again. Don't start entering real participants until you're sure the survey is set to go. If you enter a bunch of participants and then make a change to the survey, you can get incorrect results when you run a report. That's because Workshop Wizard will be using 2 different lists of questions to interpret all the participants, even though some of them took a slightly different survey. There's one other thing that will often happen with surveys over time. Your research partner or funder will change the questions on the survey. When this happens, you don't want to edit the existing survey since that will give you incorrect report values. You also don't want to have to create a new survey from scratch and enter all the questions again. In this case, use the Duplicate Survey button. It will create a copy of the survey, and you can give that copy a different version number. Then you can make the necessary changes to the new version and use the new version for new workshops. Keeping the old and new versions separate will ensure that you get the right results on the report. So that's the end of this series on the survey feature in Workshop Wizard. I hope this information has been helpful to you, and I hope you'll get a lot of use out of this feature. So until next time, aloha!